I'm Patricia Vallone with a CTV News update. The state's COVID-19 numbers are still surging. The Maryland Health Department reports more than 2,300 new cases today. It's also reporting 20 fatalities over the last 24 hours. Currently, more than 1,500 residents are hospitalized with the virus. Here in Prince George's, 44,000 county residents have tested positive for the coronavirus. That's the largest number statewide. Chilly temperatures couldn't keep the county executive and public safety leaders from lending a helping hand this morning. Today, they kicked off the 36th annual Bill Milligan Food Basket Program. The program provides food to seniors and needy families each Christmas. This year, they're distributing about 2,500 baskets around the county.
Through it all, our public safety team, who's been serving, by the way, on the front lines of this pandemic throughout, never fails to show up when needed. And today's holiday food basket program is yet another reminder of how our men and women in public safety are always on the ready to meet the needs of Prince Georgians.
2020 has been challenging for a lot of families. As has been stated, a lot of people have found themselves unemployed. And it is an honor, an absolute honor, to go out and serve those in honor of Bill Milligan's name and to carry on his legacy. So thank you, and thank you to all the public safety employees for all that you do.
And some of the baskets were delivered to Emerson House, a senior apartment complex in Bladensburg. The Prince George's School Board is swearing in new and returning members tonight. New members include Kenneth Harris, a senior engineer at NASA, and Shayla Adams Stafford, a career educator. CTV News spoke with Adams Stafford right after her election about her goals as a new member.
I want to make sure that, number one, our students' health and safety is our first priority, and ensuring that whatever plan that we come up with for reintegrating students has that as the main marker. And I'm looking at what's happening nationally and trends that are happening, and I do believe that we can successfully support students in hybrid settings, hopefully, once our cases start to go down.
And to watch the swearing-in ceremonies, which begin at 6, you can visit pgcps.org. Well, today marks the 79th anniversary of the Japanese attack on Pearl Harbor. The event led to the U.S. entry into World War II. Annual remembrance ceremonies are being held virtually this year due to the pandemic. Past events usually featured surviving veterans, many of whom are now nearly 100 years old. 2,400 service members and civilians died during the surprise attack on December 7, 1941. Former U.S. Senator Paul Sarbanes has died. The 87-year-old represented Maryland for 30 years, 3 terms in the House and 4 in the Senate. Sarbanes helped write landmark anti-fraud legislation and drafted the first article of impeachment against President Richard Nixon during the Watergate scandal. He was also a staunch defender of the Chesapeake Bay. Former Prince George's State's Attorney Glenn Ivey worked for Sarbanes in the mid-90s.
I had a chance to work for him in the Senate, first it was the Senate Banking Committee. I'd been on the staff. He took over as chairman when the previous chairman retired, and then I had a chance to work closely with him on banking and policy issues and the like. He was a brilliant man, literally. He was graduated from Princeton at the top of his class, was a Rhodes Scholar, Harvard Law School, also near the top of his class there too. And he brought a strong intellectual approach and a hard work ethic to his job in the Senate. And I think the people of Maryland appreciated that. I know his fellow colleagues in the Senate did as well.
Meantime, in a statement, Representative John Sarbanes said that his father passed away peacefully in Baltimore. There is no word as to the cause of death. The Charles County Sheriff's Office is mourning the loss of one of its own. 51-year-old Corporal Robert Cadrette died over the weekend from complications associated with the coronavirus. In a statement, the department said Cadrette had been fighting the disease for weeks and that his condition had deteriorated. The corporal joined the sheriff's office in 1998. He leaves behind a wife and a 3-year-old daughter. Members of the Prince George's Fire Department are accusing firefighters from D.C. of hindering their efforts while responding to a crash on I-295 over the weekend. Crews from D.C. and Prince George's responded to the scene of that fiery crash that left a car overturned near the county's border with the district. The crew from Prince George's says D.C. firefighters blocked the water flow of their hose, and that's when tempers flared. Officials with both departments say they are looking into the matter to determine exactly what happened and why. The German grocery chain Lidl is opening 2 new stores in the county on Wednesday. They'll be located in Tacoma Park and Oxon Hill. The discount grocer now has 18 shops in the Washington area. Lidl plans to open an additional 10 stores in Maryland and 7 in Virginia. If you live in the Laurel area, expect to see drones in the air this week. The city of Laurel says the Maryland Environmental Service will be operating drones over branches of the Patuxent River. Officials say they will record video stills of the area to help with flood mitigation efforts. The drone flyovers will take place on December 9th through the 23rd from 9 a.m. until 3 in the afternoon. Residents with concerns are asked to contact city police. The Prince George's and Montgomery County Young Democrats are teaming up for a BiCounty legislative discussion this week. The virtual event will take place Wednesday at 7 p.m. It will feature County Council member Monique Anderson Walker and delegates Wanaka Fisher and Gabrielle Acevero. Both organizations will discuss their legislative priorities for community policing, housing, and education. Martin Mitchell says one of his priorities is COVID-19 relief funding for small businesses.
What we do see is there has been a lot of support for small businesses, but with that being said, big businesses have received more of these funds. That's really on the COVID aid relief, but aside from pushing a stimulus package that makes sense.
And for more information, visit pgcyd.com. An emergency shelter in Capitol Heights undergoes a COVID renovation project. Shepherd's Cove provides housing and services for women and their children. Organizers recently held a ribbon-cutting ceremony at the facility. In addition to improvements in the HVAC system, the shelter's bed capacity was increased by 50%.
It creates a separate living quarters, of which we didn't have before. Previously, our families resided in shared dormitories, about 5 families to a dorm. Now we have literal suites where we have 5 to 6 rooms in each of the dorms, right? And we also had our air quality cleaned. So we had our HVAC system cleaned, and we have some new duct systems that were put in. As we know, the COVID virus is an airborne virus, and so I think this will further create a safer environment for our families to reside in.
Shepherd's Cove serves up to 700 women and children each year. The Washington football team is set to kick off tonight at 5 o'clock against the Pittsburgh Steelers. With a 2-game winning streak, head coach Ron Rivera has been impressed with the growth of the offense and the play calling from the first-year offensive coordinator Scott Turner. In addition to a new group of running backs and receivers, Washington's offense has also gotten better with the addition of free agent tight end Logan Thomas. Washington used Thomas's skills as a former college quarterback on Thanksgiving with a trick play to set up a touchdown, but he's also given the tight end position a much-needed boost. With 34 receptions and 4 touchdowns on the season, his stats are already an improvement personally and for the team. It's also felt like a homecoming for the Lynchburg, Virginia native.
Pretty simple. To come back home and play for a coach like this and play for an organization like this, and obviously being not too far from home helps.
We wanted him to be comfortable being a tight end, and wanted him to, he'd been a kind of a backup player that played in spots, and he made it clear pretty early in camp that he was going to be our guy.
As a position player, you just got to be consistent. Be consistent with the quarterback sees, be consistent in the routes you run, and so that's how they develop the confidence in you. And then you got to go out there and do your job on game day. And I think
that's where the growth has come, is from just kind of fighting through, the struggles and the issues of playing tight end and blocking defensive ends and going out and winning on releases and getting separation tops of routes. He's learned throughout the course of the season, and I think that's where a lot of that improvement's come from.
Pittsburgh's got a heck of a front. We got our work cut out for us. We just got to do our job, whether it's chips, whether it's just body presence. Our guys is doing a really good job in it. It's kind of all hands on deck, make sure that we protect Alex, and then second half of our job, get out in our routes and make plays.
And the Steelers are considered one of the best teams in the NFL. Well, let's get a quick check now on your 3-day weather forecast. Tonight, partly cloudy with a low of 29 degrees. Tuesday and Wednesday, sunny with daytime temps in the mid-40s. Evening lows will be in the 30s. Thursday, sunny with a high near 54 and a low around 33 degrees. Now for your community calendar, attention District 3 residents. Councilmember Danielle Glaros and Employ Prince George's are distributing Visa cards to residents who have lost their jobs due to the pandemic. Applicants must visit employpgedge.com and complete a form. If you received a gift card through the Hourly Relief Fund, you can apply again. For assistance in Spanish, please send an email to sandra@layc-dc.org. And that wraps up our newscast tonight. Thanks for watching. I'm Patricia Vallone. Have a great night.
For the latest information on COVID-19 in Maryland, visit the State Health Department website. That's health.maryland.gov. Again, health.maryland.gov. Click the link to the COVID-19 information portal. There you'll find all the latest information about coronavirus. You'll find daily updates on cases and fatalities. Answers to questions about testing and the governor's stay-at-home order are available as well. For specific information about Prince George's, visit princegeorgescountymd.gov. That's princegeorgescountymd.gov. The site offers information about local services for residents and businesses. There's a link for COVID-19 relief donations. Also, food pantry locations are listed. And if you have any questions, call the county COVID-19 hotline at 301-883-6627. That's 301-883-6627.
I moved to Florida with literally pennies in my pocket and a prayer. I needed a new start. Dacian looks like a very typical 3-year-old until you ask him, "What's your name? How old are you?" My son has a lot of behaviors that would show as being autistic. Most kids can tolerate a variety of foods, but unfortunately for Dacian, everything has to be organic and raw. I wasn't ashamed to go to the food pantries. It's expensive to eat healthy, and nutrition is very important to Dacian's health. The healthy organic food that we receive dramatically helped his social skills. Most people would say, she really doesn't have much of a life. But to me, I have everything right there next to me and my son.
My God. It's another sad day in America.
Painful to be introduced to George Floyd during his last breath.
With the cop's knee on his neck.
On his neck.
He deserves so much more.
How many black lives have to be taken before something is done?
We are not a threat.
I am shaking as I type. This has got to stop.
We are sick of it.
We need conviction.
I just want us all to live.
The deaths will not stop until the powers that be are finally held accountable.
Don't look away from the truth until every one of us are free from white supremacy.
The world stands with you.
Criminalizing and killing of black and brown bodies is not new. It's as old as America. It's just getting filmed more.
Do you know what it feels like to be hunted? To have a new hashtag for a dead black person every single day? How does one plan a life if they aren't sure they will have a life to plan?
Tarisha Armstrong, Deborah Dan,
Megan Nina Pop, Stephen Clark, Nia Wilson,
Keisha Mike,
Christopher
George Floyd. His name was George Floyd. Say his name.
Say his name.
George Floyd. Say his name.
Say their names. Once again and always, we fight for justice. Black Lives Matter.
Black Lives Matter. Rest in power, beautiful.
Go to blacklivesmatter.com.